Hey everybody, welcome to ThaxCast. I hope today finds you well. Today I wanted to talk about concert etiquette. The kinds of concerts you go to where it's maybe a high school band or a symphonic band, an orchestra, a jazz ensemble, or maybe even an opera. The first rule of thumb is to be on time, preferably early. If you come late, make sure you wait till the end of the first song to come in and don't come in the middle. It may interrupt the recording and it may be a disruption to the rest of the audience. The second thing to make note of is attire. How do I dress for this concert? Now, this is not something I'm going to spend a lot of time on because there's a lot of variance involved. But some venues will actually tell you dress casual. Some venues will tell you, hey, dress formal. And sometimes they'll give you guidelines like that. But as a general rule, if it doesn't tell you, here's a couple of things to keep in mind. The earlier the concert, the more casual it is going to tend to be. But that being said, keep in mind who's performing and where the venue is. For example, if you're seeing the New York Philharmonic at 2 o'clock, you might still ought to wear something more in the business professional area instead of the business casual. Nighttime performances tend to be a little bit more formal, but not totally. If you're ever unsure, the best way to go is a button-up and slacks, and ladies dress to match that kind of attire. If you're going to wear a hat to the performance, which is especially common in Texas, make sure you take the hat off for the performance so that you're not hindering the view of the other concert goers. The third thing, which may actually be the most important, turn off your electronics. This doesn't mean put it on silent. This doesn't mean put it on vibrate. Turn it off. Carve out this time to be at the concert. If you're going to be there, be there. Anything else can be a distraction. And if there's ever a doubt that you've turned it off, double check it before the performance. And most of the times now, they're going to make an announcement beforehand. Please turn off your electronics. The last thing anybody wants to hear in a recording is a cell phone going off. Sit in silence. You're there to hear a concert, and so is everybody else around you. And if you're talking, you're taking away from their experience. Don't be rude. If you feel like you need to cough or sneeze or make any other noise, try to wait till the music's at a loud point. And even then, try to muffle that sound with a handkerchief or a sleeve or anything to deaden the sound. The fourth thing to think about is the program that they provide. Almost every concert's going to have a program, and it's very important that you look over parts of it so that you're an informed listener. Now, in the programs, you're going to find some useful information. Sometimes it's information about the performers or about the conductor. Sometimes it's about the composers of the music, but you're always going to have the names of the pieces, the movements of those pieces, who composed it, and you're also typically going to have a listing of all the people in the performance. Now, if there are program notes for a particular piece, make sure you read those notes. They put it in there so that you can have an informed, better experience about that piece. Sometimes the program notes can change the way the piece feels to you based on knowing what it was written for. One thing to point out in this program is if there's a piece, you may have several movements to it. Make sure you know when there are more than one movement to a piece. Between these movements, do not applause. There's supposed to be a pause of silence between each movement, and that will be indicated by the conductor. Now, at the end of each piece, make sure you don't applause until the conductor puts his hands down. A lot of times he wants this little bit of sound after the performance for ambiance, and sometimes it's just for a certain effect, but don't applause until he puts his arms down. In a typical orchestral or symphonic concert band type performance, if there's a solo, don't applause afterwards. Do it at the end when the conductor recognizes the performer. Now, this can change if you're watching opera or if you're watching jazz. In opera, if there's a big aria that's performed particularly well, you can applaud that very well. In jazz, after a solo, particularly after improv solos, it's appropriate to applause there too. Some of the bigger performances will have programs available for download before you go to it. In those cases, I suggest that you do it so that you can be more informed about the pieces. Below, I'm going to link an example of one that you can look at that I think is a good example. Also below, I'm going to link you to a YouTube video of a performance, and I want you to go listen to that performance after this video, and then I want you to come back and tell me about that performance, what you thought of it, and if the program notes helped you understand it better, and I'm going to read those program notes to you right now. An American Elegy is, above all, an expression of hope. It was composed in memory of those who lost their lives at Columbine High School on April 20th, 1999, and to honor the survivors. It is offered as a tribute to their great strength and courage in the face of a terrible tragedy. I hope the work can also serve as one reminder of how fragile and precious life is, and how intimately connected we all are as human beings. I was moved and honored by this commission invitation and deeply inspired by the circumstances surrounding it. Rarely has a work revealed itself to me with such powerful speed and clarity. The first 8 bars of the main melody came to me fully formed in a dream. Virtually every element of the work was discovered within the span of about 2 weeks. The remainder of my time was spent refining, developing, and orchestrating. The work begins at the bottom of the ensemble's register and ascends gradually to a heartfelt cry of hope. The main theme that follows, stated by the horns, reveals a more lyrical, serene side of the piece. A second theme, based on a simple repeated harmonic pattern, suggests yet another, more poignant mood. These three moods, hope, serenity, and sadness, become intertwined throughout the work, defining its complex, expressive character. A 4-part canon builds to a climactic quotation of the Columbine alma mater. The music recedes, and an offstage trumpeter is heard, suggesting a celestial voice, a heavenly message. The full ensemble returns with a final exalted statement of the main theme. Now, when the song gets to the alma mater, you'll know it because it's the main height of the piece, and the lyrics to that are, "We are Columbine, we all are Columbine." That's about it for now. Go watch that video, come back to the comments, and let me know what you thought about it. As always, thanks for coming by, be good to each other, and have a good one.